The morning sky broke open with fire. Jung-hee looked up from her work in the small yard behind her house. A strange light cut across the blue. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't a bird. It moved too fast, trailing smoke and flame. Jung-hee dropped her wrench. The metal tool hit the dirt with a thud. The flying object crashed into the mountains with a boom that shook the ground. Birds flew from trees. Dogs in the village barked. She stood alone in the yard. Her father was gone, missing for 3 months now. No one else had seen the crash. The small Korean village was quiet in the early morning, most people still asleep. I should tell someone, she said to herself. But then she thought, no, I should look first. Jung-hee was 17, with short black hair and hands tough from fixing engines. Her father had taught her how machines worked since she was small. Now she fixed things for people in the village to earn money. She grabbed her backpack, filled it with tools, and set off toward the mountains. The hike was long. The summer sun beat down on her as she climbed. She knew these paths well. As a child, she had explored every trail while her father gathered metal parts from the old mines. 2 hours later, she found it. Trees were broken. Earth was burned. And in the middle sat a ship like nothing she had ever seen. A spacecraft, she whispered. It wasn't big, about the size of 2 cars. Its metal skin was dark gray with marks that looked like writing. One wing was torn off. The front glass was cracked but not broken. The ship looked like a bird with its wings spread wide. Falcon, she read from the side. The word was written in English, which she knew from school. Jung-hee moved closer. No one from the village had followed her. No sirens sounded in the distance. It was just her and the crashed ship. The door on the side was bent. Using her tools, she worked the metal until it gave way with a groan. Cool air rushed out. The inside was dark, with blinking lights on many screens. The smell of smoke and something else, something burning, filled her nose. "Hello," she called, stepping inside. A sound came from the front seat. A person moved. Jung-hee froze. Then she moved forward slowly. In the pilot's seat sat a man in a tight uniform. Blood ran down his face from a cut on his head. His eyes flickered open when she approached. "Who are you?" he asked in Korean. His voice was weak. "Jung-hee." "Who are you?" "Tamin, Earth Defense Force pilot." He coughed. "Where am I?" "Near Haenam village, South Korea." She looked at his wounds. "You need help." "No time." He grabbed her arm. His grip was strong despite his injuries. "Listen carefully. They're coming." "Who's coming?" "The Marduk." His eyes were wide with fear. "This was just a scout mission. We found their fleet hiding behind the moon. They shot me down when I tried to report back." "I don't understand," Jung-hee said. "Who are the Marduk?" "Not who. What?" Tamin tried to sit up but fell back with a groan. "They're not human. They've taken out our satellites, blocked our communications. The main attack is coming soon." Jung-hee felt cold despite the summer heat. "Aliens. Real aliens." "Yes." His eyes started to close. "Need to warn everyone." Then he passed out. Jung-hee checked his pulse. Still alive, but hurt badly. She looked at the ship's controls. Everything was dark or blinking red. The radio made only static sounds when she touched it. She looked back at the unconscious pilot, then at the broken ship around her. If what he said was true, she was holding information that could save many lives. But with no working phone and no way to call for help, she was alone. "What do I do now?" she whispered to the quiet ship. Outside, dark clouds began to gather over the mountains. A storm was coming. Rain fell on the broken ship. Jung-hee worked quickly. She had moved Tamin to the back of the ship where it was dry. She used the first aid kit she found to clean his wounds and wrap his head. Now she turned to the ship itself. "If I can fix the radio, we can call for help," she said to herself. Jung-hee looked at the control panel. Many wires were loose or burned. Screens were cracked, but she understood machines. Her father had taught her well. 5 years ago, when she was 12, her father had brought home a broken car engine. "Watch, Jun-hee," he had said. "Everything that breaks can be fixed if you understand how it works." Day after day, they had fixed that engine together. Her small hands reached places his could not. By the end, she knew every part and what it did. "Machines speak their own language," her father, Hyun-woo, always said. "Learn to listen, and they will tell you what they need." Now she listened to the ship. She touched wires and panels. She found where power still flowed and where it was cut off. The rain drummed on the metal roof as she worked. 3 hours passed. Tai-min woke up once, drank water she gave him, then fell back to sleep. His breathing was steady now. That was good. Jun-hee connected another wire. A small screen lit up. Words in Korean appeared. "Suli stem reboot, 27% Kiwon PLAT." "Yes," she said. Her hands were dirty and cut in places, but she didn't care. The ship was coming back to life. While waiting for the system to reboot, she explored the ship more carefully. She found food packs, maps, and a small gun. She left the gun where it was. In a side panel, she found pictures of Tai-min with other people in the same uniform. They all looked serious, ready for something big. A groan came from the back of the ship. Tai-min was awake again. "Water," he said. She helped him drink. His eyes were clearer now. "You're still here," he said. "I thought you might have been a dream." "Not a dream. I've been fixing your ship." He tried to sit up. This time he managed it, though his face showed pain. "The radio. Working on it. The system is rebooting now." Tai-min looked at her with new respect. "You know how to fix this ship." "Not really," Jun-hee said. "But machines are machines. They all work by rules." The screen beeped, 42% complete. "We need to hurry," Tai-min said. "The Marduk will be here soon. They're an alien race that has watched us for years. They think humans are weak, easy to beat. Why attack now?" Jun-hee asked. "They found our defense plans. They know how to block our communications. Each city thinks it's alone when the attack comes." He pointed to the control panel. "That's why we need the radio. To warn people." Jun-hee nodded and went back to work. She connected more wires and replaced burned parts with similar ones from less important systems. "My father disappeared 3 months ago," she said as she worked. "He was testing some new radio equipment in the mountains. No one has seen him since." "I'm sorry," Tai-min said. The screen showed 61% complete when they heard it. A sound like thunder, but it didn't stop. It grew louder. Tai-min's face went white. "They're here." Jun-hee rushed to the window. Through the rain, she saw lights in the sky. Not one, but many. They moved in ways planes could not, stopping and turning too quickly. "We need to hide the ship," she said. "Too late for that. They can detect its metal from miles away. Then we need it to fly." Jun-hee turned back to her work with new energy. "Can you walk?" Tai-min tried to stand. He managed 3 steps before sitting down again. "Not far. Not fast." "Then I'll have to be the pilot," she said. He stared at her. "You? You can't fly this ship. It takes years of training." Jun-hee didn't look up from her work. "We don't have years. We have minutes. Teach me what I need to know." Outside, the lights in the sky grew closer. The storm wasn't hiding them anymore, and they were running out of time. "We need more parts," Jun-hee said. The ship's screen now showed 79% complete, but some systems were still dead. "The landing gear is broken. We can't take off without it." Tai-min pointed to a map on one of the working screens. "There are alien ships here, here, and here. They're searching in a pattern. The old mine has metal parts," Jun-hee said. "It's not far. I can go and be back quickly." "It's too dangerous," Tai-min said. His face was still pale, but he looked stronger. "What if they see you? They're looking for your ship and other military targets. Not a local girl." She put tools in her backpack. "Stay here and keep working on the radio. If you get it working, call for help." Before he could argue more, she slipped out of the ship and into the forest. The rain had stopped, but the ground was wet and soft. Her footsteps made no sound as she moved through trees she had known all her life. The old mine was 2 miles away. Once it had given jobs to everyone in the village. Now it was empty of people but full of old machines and parts. Junhee's father had often taken her there to find things they could use. She reached the mine entrance and went inside. Water dripped from the ceiling. The air smelled of rust and dirt. Junhee used a small light from her backpack to see. She found what she needed: metal rods that could replace the broken landing gear. As she gathered the parts, she heard a sound. Not dripping water, not falling rocks. Something else. Junhee turned off her light and moved behind a large mining machine. Through a small space, she could see the mine entrance. 2 figures stood there. They were tall, much taller than any person she had ever seen. Their bodies were covered in something that looked like armor, but it moved like skin. Their heads were wrong, too long, with no nose or mouth she could see. Only large black eyes that reflected no light. The Marduk. The aliens. They were real. One held up a device that made soft beeping sounds. They were searching for something. Maybe the ship. Maybe her. Junhee stayed very still. Her heart beat so hard she was sure they would hear it. The aliens moved further into the mine, sweeping their device back and forth. She needed to get out, but they blocked the main exit. Then she remembered. The mine had a second way out. A small tunnel that led to the other side of the mountain. Her father had shown it to her years ago. "Always know more than one way out of any place," he had told her. Slowly, carefully, Junhee moved backwards, still holding the metal parts she needed. The aliens were looking at old mining equipment, studying it. One made sounds to the other, clicks and hums that must be their language. She reached the small tunnel and crawled inside. It was tight, dark, and smelled of wet earth. But it led away from the aliens. She moved as quietly as she could, the metal parts clinking softly in her backpack. After what felt like hours but was probably minutes, she saw light ahead. The exit. Junhee crawled out into the forest on the other side of the mountain. She ran all the way back to the ship. When she got there, Ta-min was standing. He had the small gun in his hand. "I heard something outside," he said. "I thought they found us." "They're at the mine," Junhee said, catching her breath. "I saw them. The Marduk." His face hardened. "Tell me everything." She described what she had seen while she worked on fixing the landing gear. The metal rods from the mine fit perfectly where the old ones had broken. "Their technology is far beyond ours," Ta-min said. "But they're studying everything, even old mining equipment. They want to understand how we think, how we build things." "The ship is almost fixed," Junhee said. "But we still can't call for help. The radio doesn't work." Ta-min thought for a moment. "Maybe we don't need the ship's radio. Do you have other radio equipment?" Junhee's eyes widened. "My father's workshop. He built all kinds of radios. Some worked in ways no one else understood." She looked out at the darkening sky. "But it's in the village. We would need to go there." "And the aliens are between us and the village," Ta-min said. "I know these mountains better than anyone," Junhee said. "There's a way." As night fell, they prepared to move. The ship was as fixed as it could be. It would fly, but not far. Just enough to get them to the village if they were careful. "I'll teach you the basic controls," Ta-min said. "You're a fast learner. You can do this." Junhee sat in the pilot's seat. Her hands, small compared to Ta-min's, gripped the controls. "Ready?" he asked. She nodded, fear and excitement mixing inside her. "Ready." The Falcon lifted off the ground with a shaky hum. Junhee gripped the controls tightly. The ship wobbled in the air, but it flew. Good, Tai-min said from the seat beside her. Keep it low. Under the trees if possible. Junhee nodded. She flew just above the treetops. The night was dark with no moon, which helped hide them. In the distance, lights from the alien ships moved across the sky. They're looking for this ship, Tai-min said. Our technology. Why? Junhee asked. If their ships are so much better than ours. Because this ship has data, information about their fleet, their plans. He winced as pain shot through his injured body. And they don't want us to warn anyone. The village came into view, small houses with dark windows. Everyone was asleep, not knowing about the danger above them. There, Junhee pointed, behind those trees. My house. She landed the Falcon in a small clearing behind her house. The ship settled with a groan of metal, but nothing broke. Junhee helped Tai-min out of the ship and into her father's workshop. The workshop was a small building filled with tools, wires, and strange devices. Dust covered everything. No one had been here since her father disappeared. This is what we need, she said, pointing to a large radio set in the corner. It looked old but had new parts added to it. My father built it himself. He said it could reach farther than any normal radio. Tai-min looked at it with doubt. It's very simple. That's what makes it special, Junhee said. She turned it on. Lights flickered, and static filled the room. It doesn't use the same frequencies as modern equipment. My father was always trying new things that other people thought were strange. She turned dials and adjusted wires. The static changed pitch and tone. Sometimes words broke through, then disappeared again. I'm picking up something, she said after several minutes, but it's not in Korean or English. Tai-min moved closer, ignoring his pain. Let me listen. The sounds were like the clicks and hums Junhee had heard in the mine. The alien language. It's them, Tai-min said. The Marduk. Your father's radio is picking up their communications. How is that possible? They must be using unusual frequencies too. Ones our military doesn't monitor. He looked at Junhee with new respect. Your father was onto something important. They listened for hours. Slowly, patterns emerged in the sounds. Tai-min wrote notes on a piece of paper. They're coordinating their attack, he said. I can't understand the words, but I recognize military patterns. These sounds repeat before they change position. As dawn approached, Junhee had an idea. If we can hear them, maybe we can use this frequency to send a message to Earth's forces. Tai-min nodded slowly. The ship has a data drive with everything I recorded about their fleet. If we can connect it to this radio. They worked quickly, connecting the ship's data system to the radio. Junhee knew her father's equipment. Tai-min knew the ship's technology. Together, they built something new. There, she said, connecting the final wire. Now we can send your data through my father's radio. But who will receive it? Tai-min asked. No one monitors these frequencies. Junhee smiled for the first time since the crash. My father had friends, other people who built strange radios. He called them his listening network. There's a special signal he used to call them all at once. She turned a dial and pressed a button. A low, steady tone went out over the radio. Now we wait, she said. If anyone is listening, they'll answer. Minutes passed. Then the radio crackled to life. A voice spoke in Korean. This is Listening Post 7. Who is calling on this channel? Tai-min grabbed the microphone. This is Earth Defense Force pilot Tai-min. I have critical information about the Marduk invasion. Prepare to receive data transmission. He pressed buttons on the ship's system. The data began to flow through the radio, out to whoever was listening. Then a new sound came from outside, a high-pitched whine that grew louder. They found us, Tai-min said. Junhee looked out the window. 3 alien ships hovered over the village. Lights shone down from them. Searching. We need to keep the transmission going, she said. How much longer? 2 minutes at least, Tan Min replied. We have to hold them off. The transmission continued as the alien ships moved closer to their hiding place. The data was going out, but the Marduk were coming in. Transmission complete, Tan Min said. The radio beeped once to confirm all data had been sent. The voice from the radio spoke again. Data received. All defense units are being alerted. Hold your position if possible. Help is coming. But holding position was no longer an option. The alien ships were right above the village now. Bright lights swept across houses, waking people inside. Scared voices called out in the early morning darkness. We need to leave, Jun-hee said. The aliens will track the radio signal to us. She quickly packed a small bag with food and tools. Tan Min disconnected the ship's data drive from the radio and put it in his pocket. Get to the Falcon, he said. I can fly it now. My strength is coming back. They ran from the workshop to where the ship waited. Behind them, one of the alien craft landed in the village center. Tall figures moved out of it, their armor gleaming in the lights from their ship. The Falcon's door closed behind them, just as the first alien turned toward their location. Tan Min moved to the pilot's seat and started the engines. They've seen us, Jun-hee said, looking at the screens. The ship lifted off the ground. It moved better now, responding to Tan Min's skilled hands. They rose above the trees as a beam of bright light shot out from the alien ship. It missed them by inches. Hold on, Tan Min said. He pushed the controls forward. The Falcon shot forward, flying low over the forest. Behind them, 2 alien ships followed. They were faster, gaining quickly. Can we outrun them? Jun-hee asked. No. Tan Min's face was grim, but we can try to hide. He flew the ship into a narrow valley between mountains. The walls of rock rose high on both sides. The alien ships followed, firing beams of light that burned trees and rock where they hit. The radio man said help is coming, Jun-hee said. How long will it take? Hours, maybe. Earth's forces were scattered by the first attacks. Tan Min banked the ship hard to avoid another beam. We need to stay alive until then. A warning light flashed on the control panel. One engine was overheating. The repairs they had made were not holding up under the stress of flight. We're losing power, Tan Min said. I need to set down somewhere. There, Jun-hee pointed. That forest is very thick. The trees are tall and grow close together. Tan Min nodded and turned the ship toward the dense forest. They skimmed over the treetops, then dropped down into a small clearing. The ship landed with a thud that shook everything inside. Kill all power, Tan Min said. They might track our energy output. Jun-hee turned off every system she could find. The ship went dark and quiet. Outside, they heard the alien craft passing overhead, searching. Now what? She whispered. We wait, and hope they don't find us. But luck was not with them. A crash came from outside as something large moved through the trees toward them. The heavy footsteps of alien scouts searching the forest floor. They're coming, Tan Min said. He checked the small gun he carried. Not much ammunition left. Jun-hee looked around the ship. We can't fight them. We need to run. Where? We're surrounded. She thought quickly. Under the ship. There's a space there. If we're quiet, they might not look. They slipped out and crawled into the small space between the ship's belly and the ground. The dirt was cold and wet against their faces. Above them, the metal of the Falcon creaked as it cooled. The footsteps grew louder. Through a small gap, Jun-hee could see the legs of the aliens as they moved around the ship. Their armor made soft clicking sounds with each step. One alien stopped right beside their hiding spot. It stood so close that Jun-hee could have reached out and touched its foot. She held her breath. Tan Min's hand gripped hers tightly. The alien made those strange clicking sounds again. It was talking to the others. Then it reached down toward the gap where they hid. A bright light flashed in the sky above. Then another. The ground shook with distant explosions. The alien straightened up, forgetting about the gap. It made urgent clicking sounds to the others. They all moved away quickly, heading back to their ships. "What's happening?" Jung-hee whispered. Ta Nin's face showed hope for the first time. "That's our forces. The data got through. They're attacking the Marduk ships." They crawled out from under the Falcon and looked up. Far above, beyond the trees, flashes of light filled the sky. The battle for Earth had begun. The battle didn't last long. Soon the flashes of light stopped. The forest became quiet again. "Did we win?" Jung-hee asked. Ta Min shook his head. "That was just one fight. The war is still going on." They climbed back into the Falcon to check if any systems still worked. The main screen flickered to life, but showed only static. Ta Min hit buttons, trying to get a signal. "We should try to reach your people," Jung-hee said. Before Ta Min could answer, a bright light filled the ship. They looked up to see a large shadow falling over them. An alien ship, bigger than the ones they had seen before, hovered directly overhead. "Too late," Ta Min said. A beam of light shot down from the ship. But it wasn't a weapon. It was pulling them up. The Falcon rose into the air, caught in the beam like a fish in a net. "They're taking the ship," Jung-hee said. "And us with it." Ta Min tried the controls, but nothing worked. They could only watch as they were pulled up into the belly of the alien craft. With a loud clank, the Falcon settled onto the floor of a large room inside the alien ship. Doors opened around them. Tall figures moved toward the Falcon. "If they take us, tell them nothing," Ta Min said quickly. "No matter what they do." The Falcon's door was forced open. 4 aliens stood there, their black eyes staring at the humans. One raised a device. A flash of light hit Jung-hee and Ta Min. Everything went dark. Jung-hee woke up in a small room with metal walls. A clear door showed a hallway beyond. She was alone. Her head hurt, and her mouth was dry. She stood up slowly and walked to the door. It didn't open. Through it, she could see other rooms like hers across the hall. In one, she saw Ta Min. He was still unconscious. An alien walked down the hall, stopping to look at her. It made no sound, just stared with those black eyes. Then it moved on. Hours passed. Jung-hee tried to find a way out, but there was none. The room had no windows, just smooth metal walls and the clear door. Finally, the door slid open. 2 aliens entered. They motioned for her to follow them. When she hesitated, one took her arm. Its touch was cold through a thin glove. They led her down many halls to a large room filled with screens and strange machines. In the center stood a table with straps. Someone was already strapped to it. A person. A human. Jung-hee gasped, "Father." Hyun-woo turned his head. His face was thin and tired, but it was him. "Jung-hee. How? Why are you here?" She ran to him. The aliens didn't stop her. She hugged her father, tears running down her face. "I thought you were dead," she said. "You disappeared 3 months ago." "They took me," Hyun-woo said. "From the mountains. I was testing a new radio design when they came." One of the aliens made a series of clicks and hums. A machine nearby translated. "You know this human." "He's my father," Jung-hee said. The alien turned to Hyun-woo. "The young one has your knowledge of sound waves." Both were using primitive technology to intercept our communications. Hyun-woo looked at Jung-hee with pride. "You used my radio." "It worked." She nodded. "We sent data to Earth's forces. About the Marduk ships." The alien clicked again. "Unfortunate, but too late to change our plans." It moved to a screen and showed images of Earth. Cities burning. Alien ships in the sky everywhere. "Your world is already losing," the alien said through the translator. "Your forces are divided. Your weapons are weak." "Why are you doing this?" Jung-hee asked. "What do you want from us?" "Your planet. Your resources." The alien's black eyes showed no emotion. "Humans are primitive. Easy to defeat." Hyun-woo laughed weakly. "That's what you think. But you're wrong. The alien turned to him. We have studied your technology for years. It is simple, basic. Not all of it, Hyunwoo said. He looked at Junhee. That's why they keep me alive. They found my radio designs. They can't understand how they work. Your sound technology has unusual properties, the alien admitted. It affects our systems in ways we do not understand. Junhee remembered what her father had always told her. Sometimes the simplest things can solve the hardest problems. She looked around the room at the alien technology. So advanced, so complex. But maybe that was their weakness. What have you learned about their ships? She whispered to her father. Everything, he whispered back. And I found their weakness. The alien moved closer. You will tell us how your sound technology works. Both of you. Junhee looked at her father. His eyes held a plan. A secret. She nodded slightly to show she understood. We'll need to show you, Hyunwoo said to the alien. With the right equipment. The alien stared at them for a long moment. Then it clicked to the others. The translator spoke. Bring them to the engine room. And bring the primitive sound device we found. As they were led from the room, Junhee felt hope for the first time since being captured. Her father was alive. He had a plan. And the aliens had made a mistake. They had brought together the two humans who understood their weakness. The engine room of the alien ship was huge. Tall pipes reached up to the ceiling. Strange blue light pulsed through glass tubes. The air felt warm and smelled like metal. 4 aliens led Junhee and her father inside. Another alien followed, carrying her father's radio. Once a simple device, it now looked small and old next to the alien technology. What's the plan? Junhee whispered to her father as they walked. Watch and learn, Hyunwoo said quietly. They don't understand why certain sounds hurt their systems. I've been studying them too, all these months. The alien stopped near a large control panel. The translator machine spoke. Show us how your sound device works. Hyunwoo nodded. I need tools, and my daughter's help. The aliens brought tools that looked almost like those from Earth, but stranger. Hyunwoo carefully opened his radio and showed Junhee the inside. See these parts, he said loudly so the aliens could hear. They create sound waves at special frequencies. But his finger tapped a pattern on the metal case. Tap, tap, pause. Tap, tap, tap. A code they had used when Junhee was small. It meant, follow my lead. What makes these frequencies special? An alien asked through the translator. The resonance, Hyunwoo said. He began connecting wires from his radio to a small panel the aliens had given him. Some sounds matched the natural vibration of objects, like how a singer can break glass with the right note. As he talked, he quietly showed Junhee which wires to connect and which parts to adjust. She understood his plan. The radio would send out sound waves that would hurt the alien systems. Your ship uses crystalline technology, yes? Hyunwoo asked the aliens. They didn't answer, but Junhee saw them look at each other. Her father was right. Crystals respond to sound, Hyunwoo continued. That's how old radios on Earth worked, with crystal receivers. He connected more wires while talking. Junhee helped, following his lead perfectly. The aliens watched but didn't stop them. They didn't understand the danger. Almost ready, Hyunwoo said. Then he whispered to Junhee, when I turn this on, it will create a feedback loop through their systems. We'll have minutes, maybe less, before they realize what's happening. What do we do then? She asked. Find Taemin. Get to an escape pod. I've seen them. They're like small ships on the lower level. One of the aliens stepped closer, suspicious of their whispers. Hyunwoo smiled and held up the modified radio. It's ready for demonstration, he said. The alien nodded. Hyunwoo turned a dial slowly. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then a high-pitched sound began, just at the edge of human hearing. Junhee's ears hurt a little. The effect on the aliens was immediate. They stepped back, their hands going to the sides of their heads. The blue lights in the tubes flickered. Now, Hyunwoo shouted. He turned the dial higher. The aliens fell to their knees. The ship's lights flashed on and off. Alarms began to sound. Junhee and her father ran for the door. In the hallway, other aliens were confused, some falling as the sound spread through the ship's systems. The cells are this way, Hyunwoo said, leading her down a corridor. They found Taemin in his cell, the door now open as the ship's systems failed. He looked surprised to see them. "What's happening?" he asked. "My father's radio," Junhee said. "It's hurting their ship." "The escape pods are down 3 levels," Hyunwoo said. "We need to hurry." They ran through the ship, passing confused and suffering aliens. The sound was getting louder as it echoed through the ship's systems, amplifying itself. At a junction, they stopped. Aliens were coming from both sides, moving slowly but with weapons raised. "This way," Hyunwoo said, pointing to a small maintenance tunnel. "Junhee, you go first." She climbed in, followed by Taemin. But when she looked back, her father wasn't coming. "Father, hurry." Hyunwoo shook his head. "The sound is fading. They're adapting. Someone needs to go back and increase the power." "I'll go," Taemin offered. "No," Hyunwoo said. "You don't know how it works. I do." He looked at his daughter, his eyes sad but determined. "Junhee, you know enough now. Get to the escape pod. Save Earth." "Father, no," she cried. But Hyunwoo was already running back toward the engine room. The aliens followed him, leaving the path to the escape pods clear. "We have to go," Taemin said gently, pulling Junhee away. Tears ran down her face as they crawled through the tunnel. Behind them, the sound suddenly grew much louder. The ship shook. Her father had reached the engine room. "He saved us," Taemin said. "And I'm going to save everyone else," Junhee replied, wiping away her tears. For him, Junhee and Taemin found the escape pods just as a huge explosion shook the alien ship. The pods looked like small metal eggs attached to the wall. "Your father did it," Taemin said. "He overloaded their systems." Junhee felt both pride and pain. Her father was gone, but his sacrifice had given them a chance. She would not waste it. They climbed into one of the pods. The inside was small, with just enough room for 2 people. The controls were strange, with symbols instead of words. "Can you fly this?" Junhee asked. Taemin studied the panel. "I think so. The basics of flight are the same, even for aliens." He pressed some buttons. The pod detached from the ship with a hiss of air. They fell away from the huge alien craft, just as more explosions tore through its side. "Hold on," Taemin said. He pulled on what looked like a control stick. The pod shot away from the ship, diving toward Earth below. Through a small window, Junhee watched the alien ship grow smaller. Fire now ran along its hull. Her father's sound weapon had done more damage than they had hoped. As they entered Earth's atmosphere, the pod shook violently. The outside glowed red from the heat. Junhee held onto her seat tightly. "Where are we going to land?" she shouted over the noise. "I'm aiming for somewhere in Korea," Taemin replied. "But this thing doesn't have very good controls." The pod fell faster. Land and sea rushed up to meet them. Taemin pulled hard on the controls, trying to slow their descent. With a huge splash, they hit water. The pod sank for a moment, then rose to float on the surface. "We're in the sea," Taemin said, "but I can see land." A small door on the pod opened by itself. Fresh air rushed in. Outside was the blue ocean, and not far away, a rocky shore. "We need to swim," Junhee said. They jumped into the cold water and swam toward land. The waves were not too big, and soon they reached the shore. Tired and wet, they climbed onto the rocks. "Where are we?" Junhee asked, looking around. "South coast of Korea, I think," Taemin said. "Not far from where we started." They walked inland, and soon found a road. An old truck stopped for them. The driver, an older man, looked at their wet clothes with surprise. "What happened to you two?" he asked. "Fishing boat accident," Min lied. "Can you take us to the nearest military base?" "Military?" The man looked worried. "Haven't you heard? We're at war. Strange ships in the sky. Cities burning. The army is looking for all able people. That's why we need to get to a base," Min said. "I'm a pilot." The old man nodded and helped them into his truck. As they drove, they saw the signs of war. People moving away from cities, smoke in the distance, military vehicles on the roads. 2 hours later, they'd reached a makeshift base in what had been a school. Soldiers moved quickly around the buildings. Injured people lay on beds in the gym. A woman in a commander's uniform approached them when they arrived. "Who are you?" "Earth Defense Force pilot Min, reporting for duty." The commander's eyes widened. "Min, we thought you were dead." She looked at Junhee. "And who is this?" "This is Junhee. She saved my life and has critical information about the enemy." The commander led them to a room with maps and radios. Other officers looked up when they entered. "We've been fighting for 2 days," the commander said. "The Marduk hit our communications first, just as you reported. But we're losing ground. Their ships are too advanced." "Maybe not," Junhee said. Everyone turned to look at her. "I know their weakness." She explained about the sound frequencies her father had discovered, how they affected the crystal technology in Marduk ships. "Is this true?" the commander asked Min. "I saw it work," he said. "It disabled an entire ship. But we can't get close enough to their ships to use sound against them," an officer said. "We don't need to," Junhee replied. "We can broadcast the frequency from a distance, through radio waves." The commander thought for a moment. "Our main broadcast station is still standing. If we could use that." "The Marduk will be guarding it," another officer said. "It's how they send their own signals." Junhee looked at the map. The broadcast station was marked with a red circle. Around it were symbols showing enemy positions. "I can build a device that will produce the right frequency," she said. "If we can get it to that station and connect it to the transmitter." The commander looked at the young girl with new respect. "That station can reach the whole country, maybe beyond." "Then we need to take it back," Min said. The officers began planning. Junhee asked for tools and parts to build her father's sound device. As everyone moved with new purpose, she thought of her father. "I'll finish what you started," she whispered to herself. "I promise." Dawn broke over the hills as 50 soldiers moved quietly toward the broadcast station. Junhee was with them, carrying a backpack with her device inside. Min walked beside her, his face serious. "Stay close to me," he said. The broadcast station stood on top of a hill. It had a tall metal tower that reached into the sky. Around it were smaller buildings. Alien ships hovered near the tower, and tall Marduk guards walked the grounds. The commander gathered everyone behind a ridge. "Remember the plan," she said. "First team creates a distraction. Second team gets Junhee to the main building." Junhee checked her device one last time. She had built it using parts from her father's radio and pieces from the alien pod they escaped in. It was small but powerful. "Will it work?" the commander asked. "Yes," Junhee said, "but I need to connect it directly to the main transmitter." The soldiers moved out. The first team went left, firing weapons and throwing smoke bombs. The aliens turned toward the noise, their ships moving to attack. "Now," Min said. The second team ran toward the main building. Junhee stayed in the middle, protected by soldiers on all sides. They reached the door as explosions and gunfire filled the air. Inside, the building was cool and quiet. Strange lights glowed on alien machines. 2 Marduk turned in surprise. Soldiers fired, and the aliens fell. "The transmitter room is this way," a soldier said, looking at a map. They ran down hallways, meeting more aliens. The fighting was hard. Some soldiers fell, but they kept moving forward. Finally, they'd reached a large room filled with equipment. Tall windows showed the battle outside. More alien ships were coming. "We don't have much time," Taimin said. Junhee went to the main control panel. It was covered in alien writing and strange buttons, but underneath she could see Earth technology. "They built their systems on top of ours," she said. "I can work with this." Her hands moved quickly, connecting wires and adjusting settings. The soldiers defended the doors as the sounds of fighting grew closer. "Hurry," Taimin urged. "Almost done," Junhee said. She connected the last wire to her device and turned it on. A soft hum filled the room. "Now I need to increase the power and set the frequency." Outside, an alien ship fired at the building. The whole room shook. Windows broke, sending glass flying. "We can't hold them much longer," a soldier shouted. Junhee worked faster. The device was connected, but something was wrong. The power wasn't strong enough. "It won't reach far enough," she said. "The signal is too weak." Taimin looked around, then pointed to a red box on the wall. "Emergency power for the backup transmitter." Junhee ran to it and opened the box. Inside were cables and switches. She pulled cables out and connected them to her device. "This is dangerous," she said. "It might overload everything." "Do it," Taimin said. Junhee flipped the switches. Power surged through her device. The hum grew louder, changing to a high pitch that hurt their ears. Outside, something strange happened. The alien ships stopped firing. They wobbled in the air, their lights flickering. "It's working," Taimin said. Junhee adjusted the frequency, remembering her father's notes. The pitch went higher, beyond human hearing. The effect on the alien ships was immediate. They began falling from the sky. On the control panel, lights showed the signal spreading. First across the city, then the region, then the whole country. "We need to make it stronger," Junhee said, "to reach their ships in orbit." She pushed the device to its limit. Smoke began rising from the connections. The room grew hot. "It's going to burn out," she warned. "How long will it last?" Taimin asked. "Minutes, maybe less." But minutes were enough. Reports came in over the radio. All over Korea, alien ships were falling. Then reports from Japan, China, Russia. The signal was spreading around the world. The commander's voice came through. "All Marduk ships in our area are down. What did you do?" "We used their strength against them," Junhee said. Their advanced technology was too sensitive to the right frequency. As her device finally burned out in a shower of sparks, Junhee looked out the broken window. The sun was rising higher now. The sky was clear of alien ships. In their place, smoke trails showed where they had fallen. The battle was not over. The war would continue on the ground, but humans now had a chance. Taimin put his hand on her shoulder. "Your father would be proud." Junhee nodded, tears in her eyes but a smile on her face. "We were just a girl and a broken falcon," she said softly. "They never stood a chance." Around the world, people looked up at a sky that belonged to Earth once more.